a background. What's up, guys? It's your boy GRC. Oh my god, I forgot to plug my mic in. I'm going to go to the song and we'll just start because I forgot to plug my mic in, so I know it's nuked. My bad. I'm going to go plug my mic in. Crypto in the morning with the cool animation thanks to Bullish.
You already know what time it is. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Waiting on phone. Crypto in the morning. 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 Waiting on phone. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Smoking a blunt on my way to the gym. 11 a.m. and I'm already tuned in. Got me some hacks and I'm making a stay. Got me some heads on, I'm making it rain. Pay me some maxi and that's just in case. Jim ready sent me to show you the way. Crypto in the morning, 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 crypto in the morning.
Okay, and we are live. I'm in the middle of doing something else. Hope everybody is doing awesome. We're going to get into some super interesting data. What is going on right now? We have, the White House trying to gaslight everybody and say that this is the case. We're not in a recession, but what's actually going on? Let's take a look at some of those numbers to see and understand what is actually taking place. Like layoffs. What are going on with layoffs? And is there a lot of people that are getting laid off across the board? I don't know. Well, let's take a look at some of that. Let's take a look at real earnings. So what are real earnings, right? Well, they have nominal and real. If you look at nominal earnings, that is before the adjustment for inflation. If you look at real earnings, then that is going to be after the inflation adjustment. Like what can you actually purchase more of or less of based upon the inflation numbers. So we're going to take a look at those. The Fed had their meeting minutes released the other day. I don't think we really got into it deeply, but there was a 75 basis point increase, right, in the interest rate and the Fed rate. How is that going to impact things? Right. We've seen a rally in ETH and I believe BTC. I haven't checked BTC, but I believe we've had a rally in BTC as well. Say hi to everybody in the chat real quick. GRC is just finishing taking a poo. Setting up his. Hey, did you know? Check this out. You can actually go like this without taking the person down. If you long press, you can actually drag to switch.
No way.
I found this yesterday.
So I can just drag your face. Oh my god, technology, baby, we love it. How's my mic audio?
There we go.
How's my audio?
It's good.
You can hear
your
it.
Face a little. The mic. The camera's focusing on your mic. The camera's focusing on your mic, not your face. But that's fine. How is everybody? Let's say hi to the chat real quick.
That's better. I want to make sure it's good for the show. I got these little lights back here kind of fucking up the lighting, but it's all good. Guys, real quick, I tell you, I ran outside to get the mic. Okay, guys, the gym rat is here. Good morning, Dixon. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Monica. Good morning, Mr. Prophet 74. Good morning, Bahadi Zafa. Can you do the little spelling thing so I can know how to say that? Dougie 0.0489. Ethereum is ruining Bitcoin's life, ruining their life. What is it? 6.5 to 1 right now trading? Like, oh my God.
We have the hype around the 2.0 coming up. I think one of the lead developers said in September it should be coming out. 19th, I think.
You want to make a little side bet on that for 100 Bitcoin, Mt. Gox Bitcoin?
You think that will?
You think we're not getting that? That shit's nowhere near done. That shit is a fucking fallacy. They've been saying that literal same thing. And it's a fallacy when they say it's coming in the fall. They give you that fall, like when
one of the lead developers, I think, said September 19th is when the merge should happen, because they've already released.
Super excited to see it, to be honest.
But here's the thing: why would the price go up? It's not going to fucking change it.
Oh no, it's technology. I mean, no, it's just for us nerds, really. Like, if you think the price is going to change because of this shit, other than pure speculation, then you haven't understood the speculation market. Again, buy the news, sell the rumor, right? Buy the news, guys. People buy the news. Icosa, buy the news. Whether you not think Icosa is coming out, I personally think it's going to come out because Alex kind of does things all.
I think it will too.
But buy the rumor, sell the news. We pumped up 300%, and then we floored. And then we sideways. So you're like, oh, okay. So that can occur whenever you look at something in the price chart. There's a story there. I always tell people, I guess I'm a trader because, like, I've swapped something to USDC for all you fucking Nazis. But it's just super interesting. What was the point that I was making right before then? I have to remember it.
Probably how big my biceps were. We have a crypto fitness challenge that ends on Sunday.
Ends tomorrow. I don't know. It's 90 days, ends tomorrow.
Well, I put down the 31st because
either way, it's like,
but either way, it doesn't matter.
We're not doing the winners till next week when Bullish gets back anyway. So guys, wait for those 3 episodes in a row. 3 episodes in a row. We're talking fitness, longevity, living long, living large, biceps, sex, whatever.
Testimonials, all that kind of stuff. For the last
they're coming on. Yeah, they're coming on. So those days will be, I got to line it up because I don't know who is available / wants to come on.
We can do like 5-minute segments or 10-minute segments, maybe like lined up throughout the show, and talk to different people, get their story, see.
Dante, get your webcam warmed up. Get your webcam warm. Get those elbows loose, Dante. We might need you on Crypto in the Morning. You know who else we're getting Crypto in the Morning? Hex Siren. You know who else we're getting on Crypto in the Morning next week? Mr. Valley Bull Rush. So we've got some hard hitters coming on next week to show you their testimonials. And for all these guys that think I'm a fraud bodybuilder, you are correct. I am a fraud bodybuilder because I don't give a fuck. There's all these people that come out of the woodwork saying, like, I'm some fake personal trainer. I'm like, I don't fucking personal train, bro. Like, and even if I did, I would have to be really into whatever I was doing. Like, if it was a specific person, there's always like differences for me. I like spreading knowledge to people that want it. I would never try and train someone. I would never like seek someone out to try and train them in any way, shape, or form. People come to me when they want advice sometimes because, 6-pack diamond abs.
Yes. Helping people is fun. I never really went down that rabbit hole too far with the coaching thing. It is fun. I definitely love helping people, but
it's fun if you're helping. But if you're just doing it for a guy who doesn't care all that much, he cares, but he didn't care all that much. I can only help people, Sam, if they're as neurotic as me. I'm sorry, because I want to see the best, and I know what I'm willing to do, and you know what you're willing to do. And if someone's willing to push there or harder, I would do that all day long. But I'm sorry, I don't see it very often. But then people like Hex Siren come along. Then people like, you know what I mean? And they're like outworking me 10x.
I don't always agree with this person, but I definitely agree with this chat here. Crypto Gains Club, GRC is a scam. Sam is legit. I mean, if you couldn't find a more truthful statement out there, you don't have to look very far. Just kidding.
I'm gonna do some streaming today because I'm at the lake, and so like before 4, I'm probably just gonna be streaming. Like I might stop the stream and start it again. I haven't thought about that yet, but I'm with my girl and she's working like at work day, and it's raining, so it's like, and I'm enjoying myself, man. I promise you, man. It's like I took a shower with actual fucking lavender soaps and shit. It felt fantastic. I haven't done that in fucking, I don't even know how long. I'm more like a water splash on me kind of guy.
Okay, so I've been learning some stuff, right? Because I haven't taken a break from crypto, but I haven't been reading as many white papers and stuff. And
because it's not as fun in the bear.
Yeah, and I just had some other stuff going on, and I'm refocusing. I've got a couple tenants moving out, and then I gotta like redo some stuff here at the house. My business is
You got
growing,
a couple tenants moving in? You need two?
Right there. Right there.
Wait,
how
I
you
can
get
provide
there.
you with security and a party. Okay.
I'm not allowed to go in public with these because I'll get arrested. But
We should just get
so
tattoos. They're just like neck tattoos, or they're just like fucking ganged out, so it just looks scary as fuck.
so USDD is an algorithmic stablecoin. I'm not trying to say one thing or another here, but it appears, and I haven't done the full dive into it yet, it appears that it is very similarly structured to Terra Luna. So it's a Tron thing. Yes.
Oh
It's a
my
Tron
god.
token.
So wait. Let's talk. So you're talking about a algorithmic stable coin for Tron. Is this what you're speaking of?
I just was learning about it this morning and listened to a video while I was doing my cardio. I don't have the full picture, but it is algorithmic stablecoin.
Hey, they
It
could be
seems
timing the
similar.
market. That you know how good algo stables do in a bull run. I'm not playing with you guys either. If you guys don't think everyone's going to forget all this shit in a year, if you think people are not going to be giving their money to centralized entities in a year, you are so incorrect. If you think this is the line, what about Mt. Gox? They didn't get their money back. What about Celsius? They didn't get their money back. How many people got goxed and then sold? I guarantee a lot, because no one listens. So these guys, they make these products that are bull run ready. And then everyone's like, this was the greatest idea in history. Because it's just like, oh, algo stables pumping, everything's pumping. It's double pumping, money's pumping, everything's pumping, and they just work out so well. And then in the 95% dip, they can't last. But that'll be 2-3 years in the future. You know what I mean? So I think we need to dive more in, but we also have to be open-minded to this working.
I know, correct. I definitely want to look deeper into that and understand. Did you know that the Tron network, right? Because it's its own blockchain, is I think in the top 3 in terms of stable coins that they hold, or the number of people who use them, and that transaction fees are 0. I don't fully understand this. This is just the very, very tip of the iceberg before diving into Tron. But that's pretty interesting to me, right? And Crypto Gains Club had mentioned something else. The more you read into these other shit, you can get a better idea of
how good Hex is. I always say this: the more I read, the more I like Hex, and it's, you have to understand. I feel like Sam, and I agree with me on this if you do or don't, but when people learn, they get more insight, right? And what do I tell people all the time? Sam's provided liquidity. He's been in the markets way longer than me. I talk about liquidity. I study liquidity providing a little bit here and there. I've never done it because it's just, but I have to learn. If I learn about 5 crashes of of algo stable coins, I'm going to understand the market better. And I think it's working, Sam. I really do. What do you think? People keeping yourself in one space of mind. It's good if you want to make people not get hurt, but it doesn't fix the problem. The problem is no one's reading or studying.
Yeah. Well, I think that there's this dissemination, or kind of when you have a stick of butter, you put it into a pan to melt. It starts as that rectangular cube thing, right? And then as it continues to heat up, it melts and spreads out throughout the whole pan. Well, if you think of that as an analogy, where the stick of butter is information, right? And because of the internet, because of Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, you have little pockets of information that in the past were just held within a couple people. And now, because of the internet, what I just described in blogs and whatnot, that stick of butter is melting and it's spreading around the world. So the information that was in a couple people's heads is now spreading across the whole entire pan, metaphorically speaking.
Let's think about it. Let's think about it from this angle too, Sam. Guys like me and you can get our hands on this information. That's dangerous, dude. That is so dangerous for them. That Powerful. Is so dangerous. Dude, guys like me would have no power. 0. I'm a hard worker. I love what I do. But I didn't know shit. And if I didn't have the internet, I would have only known what was around my house. You know what I mean? internet has given me the opportunity because I have the personality to punch hard. It's just the truth. I do. I'm the same way all the time. I get excited. I'm jazzed up. You know what I mean? Like that's just my personality. But the internet has made me be able to get into the most scalable financial asset in history and learn it about before everyone else. Where before I was driving house to house to make money, Sam. Think about that. And they're giving guys like me a key to fucking go for the stars. Like, just fuck it, dude. Like, shoot for it, bro. I don't need permission. I don't care if I fail. I really don't. I really fucking don't. Because there's 100 other fucking dope ass things I could do. I swear.
Oh, well, plus I mean, crypto's like not going anywhere.
Well, I mean, fail as far as like, let's say like fucking YouTube rugs and or like whatever. Like whatever.
Oh, yeah. But because you know crypto,
studying what you love and presenting the information that you love and trying to be honest.
And because of that, because of crypto, dude, like I have no doubt that the place I'm going to be in by the end of next year, independent of the market price of like what's happening in the macro sense, because when you understand what is going on, you can make money in a down market or a up market or sideways market. And speaking of the sideways market, the LP position, holy shit, bro. Like it is amazing, right? Like I've added a little bit more capital. So now I have, if you break it down into two pieces, right? Or three pieces, right? You got fees, you have fees that you earn, fees that you pay, and then you have a price appreciation or depreciation of the assets, right? So what have we seen over the course of the last month with Ethereum? Ethereum's just all like boom, right? So made about $10,000 from just the price appreciation, which I didn't have any fucking control over. It just happened to fucking get into it at that moment in time, right? But then from the fees standpoint, just in the month of July, over $2,000 in fees just in the month of July, which is crazy. And I still have the rest of today and tomorrow and the next day to earn fees for the month of July.
Yep.
And because I believe that we're going to see a sell-off in ETH, right? I think we're going to see a sell-off in ETH. When that's going to happen, is it going to be something like in my mind? I'm like, okay, this is precedent. No. This is going to happen soon.
You wouldn't even have to look at the chart, really.
But it might happen in 3 months. Like it could go to $3,000, and then we get that fucking dump.
It could also go to $3,000 and back up to the point it's at in 2 seconds, or drop to 300, because that happens too. Like sometimes the drop happens. And you always label it on the chart, but the drop never really happened for nobody because nobody was there. Everyone was eating dinner, sleeping. You know what I mean? It happened. I remember I was locked in at this time because somebody was literally telling me to buy Bitcoin at this. Like there was another man on the phone like, dude, you need to do this. You have money. It's time. And I was like, okay. So I was kind of locked in on the thing, but I didn't know about the price action. It was 3,400. I said, okay, whatever. Bought it. Never thought about it. Never thought of it. It was cheap. I didn't think I was on discount. I had no fucking clue. And it was only at 3,400 for about 8 hours and never saw it again. And I learned a lot, I learned a lot. Like I made that one buy and I'm sure I made buys after that or whatever. And like, I lost to that because even though the down happened, like Richard could be right, but what if it lasts 2 days? Or what if it lasts a year?
Correct.
Like it's crazy to think about, really.
Well, so now the thoughts that are going through my head is like, okay, I've got this LP set up. Should I switch this to USDC, right, to kind of lock in that $10,000, or it doesn't really matter because I'm earning fees and who gives a shit about the price? I'm not going to be touching it anytime soon, right? Or the other thing is,
that's why the staking feature is great in Hex for me. Like. It makes it so like if I'm already protected from myself, okay? I'm not saying I'm never gonna buy more t-shirts. Obviously, that ain't true. But the truth is, like, I've already done enough where I feel comfortable. So like I can practice doing other shit. I can learn how to provide liquidity and earn yield. Again, this isn't a game for people that have $2,000 in their bank account. It's just not, like, because it doesn't work because the fees outrun the yield at that low premium. So like. You have to understand that it's like a game. It's just a game. You want to put a little bit of extra mass in here. You get a little bit of risk. You earn some good fees on a great technology, a new technology. You know what I mean? It's just it's a value prop and it's there. It makes sense to me.
So
Like, the fees make sense to me. Like when people tell me the amount of money they make liquidity provided, it kind of adds up to me. It's a lot, but it adds up, you know.
Oh, it's incredible. It's
fee.
incredible. I'm gonna build this up to $100,000 and then probably get 10 to 15%
But the
a month
fees,
on that.
but let's talk about the fees. Just outside of like making money, like what is the fee structure for providing liquidity? Just real quick for people, like in not you know, just like how much.
So Uniswap.
Actually, my question is, how much fee volume does Uniswap get? Do we know that?
Well, if you look at the 24-hour trading volume on Uniswap, which I can actually pull up in a second, Uniswap trading volume.
Here, I got to go put pants on because I'm cold, so I'm in my undies. So I'm gonna.
Okay, cool. Yeah, go jump, and I will pull this up real quick. So if you look at the trading volume on Uniswap, which I'm going to pull this up here, this is for V3. This will give you an idea of the extent, the magnitude of fees involved here. This is on Nomics, right? Uniswap V3, Ethereum, right? 1.5 billion dollars. This is not over the course of, a trivial amount. It's like in terms of 6 months or something. This is over the last 24 hours. Okay, cool. When was the last time you did not hear of a company that was turning over $1.5 billion a day, or over, I'm pausing here to give impact, over $500 billion annually? Think about this for a second, guys. We are in a deep bear market so far. And I think it's going to go lower, right? And there's this protocol, Uniswap V3, that does annual turnover of over $500 billion. $500 billion, right? Okay, so let's think about that. 5.5 or 500, let's see. I think it's $5.5 trillion, right? So 550 billion annually times 0.003. That means that there's 1.65 billion in fees. 1.65 billion in fees. This is during a down market.
For what?
Annually. So divided by 365.
That's a lot.
I'd
love to get the numbers on how many people. I have somebody down below that I can't wait to have up. We're going to talk about macro, liquidity, all the shit.
Oh, perfect.
Whales only, guys. Haven't seen him in about a month. We've all just been chilling, all just learning, chilling, doing whatever. It's the bear market. I need to regroup with. Let's do a quick transition, though.
What's going on, guys?
What's up, brother?
I'm doing all right, man.
Got a new logo, it looks like.
Man, just a different patch. Felt that was more appropriate for
I like it.
this point in time.
Yeah, what is this? What did it say?
You've been fucked by psyops because physical wounds heal.
I don't get that, but what does that mean exactly? Or what does that mean to you?
It's not what it means to me. It's what's actually happening. People believe a plethora of lies and think that they're real because they won't take the time to do research.
Very
Fact
true.
of life.
Yes,
Been that way for a long time.
I mention that a lot. Like, and it becomes apparent very quickly when you become into the crypto world, because it's just like you can hear someone say 2 words, you're like, okay, you don't know what you're talking about at all. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't know. Like, if someone asks what an ERC20 is, they don't know what they're doing, right?
No,
right.
They don't. I mean, here's a bigger problem, right? Everybody just thinks they're gonna walk into crypto, click buy, and that's it, done. They don't understand there's like 10 steps, 20 levels before you even get to that point. Because why are you even coming here anyway? There already exists money. There already is a whole other market of all these things where you can go make money. Why are you coming over here? Why does this exist? Right? people just think they can walk in here and it's just like walking into any random old exchange or something. No, wrong. This is not that. And if you think that, it's only a matter of time before you learn it's not.
This is going to be a very, very interesting time. I've heard people say that you're very into the macro stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear some of your thoughts on what's going on, right? Like the government's like, hey, bro, we're not actually in a recession. But then you look at the data and that might tell a different story. So you want
and for us noobs, me, in the finance world, slow it down a hair with the crazy words, because the normal words to me are crazy. The crypto words I get. But just explain to me a little bit about, we got a lot going on. We're talking about the macro, but what is really going on when these numbers come out? I've been looking into these numbers now, and to me, they just seem like absolute bullshit. Like these numbers, 6.8% inflation, I just don't buy it. Like, where are these numbers coming from? Do they have any merit? Is there any reason they're posted for the benefit of us? Is there any?
Okay, don't think I'm a dick, but I literally did a stream on this.
Perfect. You should. This way you can cover all.
No. Yeah. I just said it to be funny. But I literally did a stream on how Western economies work. What their data represents. What's the point of their data? Like all these things. People believe GDP is something that's reliable, right? People think all these data points that we are fed, which is the whole point. We are fed them. Right? They think that they're plausible or real or tangible or just not made up, right? Now, when you look at a lot of these data points, what most people miss is that they're denominated. What you're tracking is actually the dollar value of things, not the unit account, not the actual growth of demand or lack thereof. You're not tracking that. That's never being tracked. The only thing that is ever tracked is the dollar value. Now, why do I mention that? The reason I mention that is because if the dollar value goes up intrinsically, the currency's value, then the rate of change for all these economic data points is going to be negative. And this is what we saw with GDP yesterday. Now, what's confusing to people is when you say, well, why the hell is inflation going up if the dollar is going up? Right? If I just said that if the intrinsic value of this currency is going up, then the value of everything else should be going down. So why would inflation be going up? Because theoretically, by that explanation, it should be going down. But in fact, it's skyrocketing. Why? Right? This is what's confusing to most people, but because this is when you have to sit here and say, all right, well, what components are going into this value that I'm receiving right now, which is this inflation number, which, like just as you so eloquently stated earlier, Jim Rat, is BS. Right? We know that number is not real.
And it's funny because I just started learning about these numbers. So to me, they're kind of new.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when you hear these things for a decade, I feel like it can almost sink into your psyche and almost become something real. But I was just like, random. It's like when you learn about God for the first time when you're 30, you're like, shut the fuck up. You're like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean?
You're right. When I first started learning this stuff,
meter just went.
Yeah. When I first started learning all this stuff, dude, I literally bought a book. And I think there might be like even a third volume of this book. It's just a book about all the economic indicators, what they are, what they represent, all this stuff. I forget the title. But whole point is, when I read this book, it was very unimpactful, unimpressive. It just made like I understood what I read, but you could tell there was something else there. Like that wasn't the whole story. I don't know how to describe it, but I just knew that was like top layer crap. It wasn't really the truth, right? And as I kept learning, because you're just getting a definition. So as you get a definition and then the data points and then the parameters and then this and that, all the metrics and properties that make up this economic data point, you have to think about, well, okay, now I just have a definition. But what does this definition actually tell me? A lot of people just stop at oh, okay, I got a definition. Like, okay, GDP is telling me the growth of the economy based on these values.
Yeah, but let's
That's
take
it.
energy out of it and let's take other things out of it because
Right.
those numbers are just fixed into living life.
Yeah, exactly. No, right. And so when we're looking at inflation, right, when they present inflation to us, what they do is that they give us a couple of platters to choose from. We don't get one number, interestingly enough, which you would think you would get one number because you're only paying for goods with one currency, right? Not multiple ones.
Oh, you're not paying with your card that's not for your currency for the energy bill? I
Right.
thought you get your little energy card for that. And so they put
Right.
that on the other inflation numbers.
Exactly. Doesn't make sense, right? Because what they do is they show you core inflation and then non-core inflation, right? Core inflation is
My
supposed to
girl was just
be.
teaching me that this morning.
Oh, okay. So I don't got to run through it. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
but she
a lot of
loves it.
people-
She's
a lot of-
smiling. She's
a lot-
loving it. I want to hear it more.
A lot of people in the chat, Wales, are not sure of what the difference is between the two.
okay,
So
that's
go ahead
true.
and touch on them.
That's true. That's true. It's all right. So, so check this out. Now, I'm about to tell you this in English. You're not going to hear me misspeak. Okay. Core inflation is the inflation that measures the change in the cost of goods and services, but does not include those changes in the cost of food and your cost of energy consumption. Now, this is the core inflation.
They put that on the TV. They put it on the
And
TV.
this is real. This is what these economists and all these people that you take seriously go by.
And their ass back, they don't know what's going on.
Look, whether they
Well,
know,
if you want to paint a narrative and I create the rules, like I can
True.
do whatever I want.
They just
Yeah,
make
exactly.
the rules.
what's going
They
on.
just make
Exactly.
the rules. You're right.
right? And this is what I was gonna say. Is like, look, I don't know if they're moronic or complicit.
Hey, I know what you mean. It's like I don't know if they're hiring people to kill people or if they're just dumb butts that are fucking around in an office. It's like I
Right.
can't tell. Like I can't tell if they're like putting hits on people and have like a core team of like fucking alpha males that just, or if it's literally two guys that are like,
Yeah.
what the fuck are we doing? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's
From your
that's
guys'
real.
insight, what do you guys think though? Because you guys have more insight in the work world. Like I'm not saying you would know this in particular, but what do you see? Like, do you see guys out there that go under the radar that really are deceiving to the point and methodical? I've never seen it in my life, in front of my eyes. Yes, I've heard things on the news, of course. Have you guys ever seen anything that really shocked you? Maybe in the workforce, what a man's really capable of doing. And I mean that in the smart way too. Evil people are very smart. Being evil and smart are like almost the same thing because it's a lot of activity.
Because it's a tool that you can utilize to, like, I could use a hammer to build a table, or I could use a hammer to kill somebody, right? It's a tool depending on how you want to use it. So being smart is that tool. Being ambitious, right? You can do those things in a positive way or negative way. On like the CPI thing, right? You have CPI and then your core inflation, right? Which is one includes like the things that were not included that Wales just mentioned, like energy and food. But those we know those are fake. We know that's just fucking made up. It's like I get to make the rules.
We
and then I
do.
get to,
We do.
Right,
we do.
right,
A lot of people don't. Yes.
Yeah,
But on the flip side, the same thing with GDP, right? So like,
yeah, it's all the same. All metrics are the same. They're all
they're
vanity.
made up. I get to fucking make up the rules.
They're all vanity metrics. It's like market cap, right? Because here's the damn thing about market cap. When it comes to crypto, it literally makes no sense. Now, when you're looking at a company, right, an entity that's doing physical things in the real world where you're interacting and there's a legal document stating, yes, I exist. This entity is real. It exists for these purposes. Here are the owners. Here are the creators of this entity. Like, there's a whole different thing, right? Crypto is nothing like that. It is just freaking text. It is code. That's it. So when you realize those two differences between a stock, or let me just rephrase, between a security and an actual cryptocurrency, what's the major difference? There's nobody involved in one, and there's a bunch of bodies involved in the other. Huge difference. So now when the SEC comes knocking on people's doors, don't be acting surprised because Wales been telling you for over a year what a security is. And it's very simple. It's not nuanced. It's not fancy. It's very straightforward. If there's people involved in some endeavor where you're holding some monetary claim, hate to be the breaker of bad news, but your ass is holding the security, whether you like it or not. And here's the thing. If you're trying to play the USD game, and I'm saying USD in quotes, guess what that means? You are going to have to follow their little fake funky money rules. Because that's just like Sam said. When you can make the rules, you can do whatever you want. And this is the thing that people don't realize.
What about the security rule, though, there with that nuance?
That's it. But that's it. When we're dealing with their stuff,
We got to leave the country.
No. Hear me. When you're dealing with their stuff, stocks, bonds, things of that nature, their assets, their claim to value, right? We're not choosing our own. We're using the fiat currency, what's called legal tender, quote unquote, to disseminate and accumulate our value. That's what we're doing collectively as a society. This is why we're beholden to all these random things that don't make sense because we think we have to use this unit of account. But if there ever comes a day that people realize that's just a variable and that it actually doesn't matter, you could use, bags of popcorn to measure value, you really could, then everything changes and we could use whatever we want. We could use X, we could use vape pens, we could use whatever. I mean, that's really that's the biggest hurdle for humanity because people do not understand value. If me and Sam wanted to exchange, a book, like I had a book that he wanted and maybe I wanted that plant that's behind him, right? Maybe I didn't think this book that I had was worth that one plant, right? Maybe I wanted a plant and the light that's next to it. That's my assessment of value.
I hate to bring up prison.
Well, it's the same thing.
I'm going to because let's get real for a second. And that's why street smarts are so important. And I'm not talking about going to jail. I'm not talking about any of that. Pay attention to value transitions in different spaces. Go to jail. What is the best currency in jail? Coffee packets and cigarettes. Whatever it is in that area.
I was in jail for 6 months and we would trade food all the time. All the time.
I bet would trade anything for extra carbs because you probably didn't get fat enough.
Oh, dude, yeah, I would we'd play cards and we would wager food so that I could get more food because I lost 20 pounds while I was there because there's just not enough.
Dude, that's not right, dude.
I did 12 hours in a clinic.
They gotta give you food.
They don't give you shit. Nah.
For me, I'd be like, dude, take my portion in half, give it to the gorilla over there because he's gonna
I don't want the motherfucker to kill me.
No, he's gonna be so hungry. We're gonna be playing cards. He's gonna snap. Give this
man. Exactly. It's either you or him. You or that sandwich.
Put you in that snapping point in there, man. They want you to be close. Close. Keep yourself on edge. But I'm saying, but think about that, guys. When there's no currency, so when the currency changes form. Because in jail, there is no fiat. I mean, there is, but you know what I mean? They can't trade.
You don't have... Well, okay, let's talk about that. Because this is important. This is very important. When you're in jail, prison, whatever, you have no direct access to any physical currency, any value mechanism. You have to use other things.
Third party.
And this is exactly... No, it's not even third party. The third party is actually the fiat currency.
What's the commissary system? Who gets that? The jail?
The jail receives it on behalf of you. The prison is like the trustee receiving it on your behalf.
I see.
And I think, I don't know this for sure, but I think they might even outsource the commissary relationship to a third party to facilitate.
I think it depends. I think it depends the prisons. I think it depends the prison, but I'm not sure because state and federal is different.
And depending on the state is also
exactly.
What are your thoughts, right? So we've had GDP numbers down 2 consecutive quarters. That's been the traditional definition for decades of a recession, right?
Right.
But we also have an interesting thing that's been happening for years, where people are leaving the workforce to never return in the traditional sense. Like I left,
Yes.
3 or 4 months before the pandemic happened, right? And
Oh,
I had
wow.
no intention. Mine was December 2019. I
That's
quit.
funny.
But this is like, I'm one of tens of thousands or millions of people globally that did this right before everything happened.
I
And
didn't do it.
you have a lot of people leaving the workforce, and the idea of work is morphing, right? So
Yeah.
to position it, are we, in the way you see it, are we actually in a recession? Or I think that we're actually not, by how I see the world, because the people who are leaving the workforce, who are those people? They're the people who are ambitious, take responsibility, are creative and resourceful, because now they're like, I can do this better.
Right.
I can put in the extra work to create more value for myself by leaving this entity working a W-2 job and expanding what I'm capable of doing by learning new skills and all this kinds of things. So I think that like because the numbers just fucking made up shit, right?
Premium on tax evasion too. If you want to be honest, like anyone with two brains is going to be like, I'm paying way too many taxes off these paychecks every week, and I don't have time to do jack. The value prop of working is crumbling. There is no value proposition. You can't make 150. If you're making 150 grand a year plus, good, you're fine. Just go live your life. It's still not enough, but it's fine. But if you're making less than that, you're getting eaten up, eaten alive. You're getting eaten alive by inflation if you don't have resources. Like
this is an interesting topic, right? Because I think there's so many different ways, and Sam, you made some great points. You could look at it, right? Like you do have a major cohort of the economy where people, and this is not even socioeconomic in my mind, because I live in the hood. I live where poor people live. So I see it at the lowest levels all the way to the highest levels, just like you stated, where you have people that are just fed up. They're tired. They're seeing that they can do better by themselves, basically. Right. Now, I personally think we have a lot of different things going on that paint this big picture that, in my mind, tell me we've been in a stagflationary environment that's led to basically a structural recession. Now, let me define what I mean by that. Because, I mean, I just think our whole economy is structurally deficient. Right?
Okay, because you use the word
look at yourself.
But stagflation, people, just so people can get an idea of what that word specifically.
Yeah. So stagflation is when you have inflation hitting your cost of living, but not your wages. Right? So you're at odds. And we've been in that scenario for a very long time. It just hasn't been defined as such by those that make up the definitions. Just like now they're trying to change what defines a recession, even though that's been the definition for 100 years, right? And here's the thing: by my look of it, we've been in a recession, or let me rephrase, a structural recession, if not depression, since 2008, if not sooner, right? Because what we've been seeing, and Sam, you're probably as old as me, if not around my age. You know, what I've seen is that the economy has been slowly breaking itself down, right? Because you have certain areas of the domestic side of the US where you have the cities, and then you have the rural areas. The cities are the ones where the majority of the services jobs are, right? Your office buildings, your real estate, your finance, your internet companies, all these types of entities where you're sitting in a cube working in a computer, right? Very small is the actual physical production economy. Those that produce goods is very small in cities, right? But then when you step out into the rural area, that amplifies, that occupies a greater proportion of economic activity, right? So we kind of have
the creation of things, the creation of stuff.
Right. When I say goods, I mean literal physical goods, right? Not just like providing a service like software as a service or something as a service. Not that, just literal physical goods, like you're saying, like productive stuff.
Wales, this is super interesting. You're saying this because this is what I believe for the last couple of years as well. So you're like, hey, you might see this too, and it's exactly the same thing. Because if you look at any society, over time it dies when the ability to create, and like Wales is using yeah, exactly. And where has that been going under horrible policy decisions at like the highest levels? Is there has been systematic policy decisions to shift the creation of goods and services and production manufacturing to outside of our borders. Like, think about this from a company standpoint, right? I own a company that produces stuff, and I am systematic. I understand history, and I'm systematically making my company weaker. Does that sound like an intelligent thing to do? But to your point, over the last couple of years, we've seen the great resignation, as has been labeled.
That's what it feels
like. Right, and I quit, right, and a lot
I did too, and I never planned it to be like, I didn't think about that shit. I wasn't thinking about the market. I was like, the value prop for me working all day long is gone. It's gone. I was spending more money than go ahead.
But now, like the number of like Etsy stores, the number of new businesses has exploded over the last 36 months. Like fucking berserk. And yes, 97% small businesses. But these times.
But that's important.
Because these companies that are tiny now are the same ones that were Uber in 2008.
Right. They're the ones that have to grow.
Cycles. Like
yes, 1,000%.
It's a
1,000%.
Enough smart people get pinched out, and then they all start making moves, and then it can start to grow again. Because guys like me, like if we were in a better economic position and I was making a lot more than I was, even though I felt like I was making a lot at the time, I might have just sat back. But I was pinched out, and I was like, "This is bullshit." I was like, if I'm gonna work every day, I'm gonna be living the dopest life ever. I'm not doing it the shit like life sucks all day way, and because I didn't have to, and I wasn't making enough. Because when you're working like that, you're also proportionally using energy. You have to use energy when you're moving, working, talking to people, and if you funnel that towards your own business, the value prop just because you don't even want to work for other motherfuckers. Nobody wants to do it. Everyone hates it.
Yep. Correct. Now, look, what I wanted to say was what. So again, it's all these conflicting factors, right? Because everybody's life is a little different, right? Now, when you're sitting here looking at your day to day, and you sit like I recommend everybody sit down, write down what their monthly cost to live is, and then divide it by 30. That's how much you basically got to make every day to survive. Everything after that is disposable income.
Yes, we should do a separate show on that. I talk about people's burn rate all the time. Like, what's your fucking burn rate? And 99.9% of people have no idea what it is.
No idea. Now, look, now you guys were talking about 2019, right? When I found myself in 2019, I was not the happiest camper. And for whatever reason, it seems like we were all on this mental wave. Because you quit 2019, Sam. Jim Rat, you just quit the other day, right? But you were already pushed in this direction prior to making that choice.
Yeah, I wanted it. Sam was coaching me. It was just taking me time.
Right. So then the question becomes, what can you actually afford to do? Right. If you have no literal responsibilities, you're more than well within your right to take that risk because you have the ability to do so. You don't have any dependents. If you don't have any dependents, then you're more than well within your rights to take those kinds of risks because that is when you do it, when you have the freedom and latitude to do so. And what's crappy is we're seeing an economy where people that have dependents are being forced to take those kinds of risks. This is why crypto is so seminal, right? This is why it's going to change the game. Because once people realize what real crypto is, because here's the thing, not even these so-called smart people on Wall Street know. They don't have a clue. because what they're getting fed is the misinformation that everybody else is getting fed. They think it's Bitcoin and Ethereum when that is not that. They have their place and their role because they've been around the longest, but crypto is software. There is no intermediaries. There is no Ethereum. There's no Vitalik. There's no foundation to look to. There's none of that crap in real crypto. There is just the software and done. If there's anything else surrounding it, then it gets cloudy. You can point to something that's not really crypto. Everybody looks at Richard Hart, but he's so negligible in the grand scheme of things. Because when you look at what is going on in Hex, you got all these different people that are fully well and capable of replicating Richard Hart. From the lowest to the highest levels. We have that.
That's true.
Right?
And this type of thing is, yes, we like this ecosystem, but it's like we're kind of looking at the tree versus the forest, so to speak, because when we step back and we look at the crypto space, there is intelligent yes, we talk about scams all the time. Yes, we talk about rug pulls, we talk about all the garbage centralized shit out there, right? But at the same time, there are other people across in these different pockets of crypto all over the place. Mm-hmm. They're also doing the same exact thing. You talked about like the Wall Street, or kind of like insinuated the Wall Street doesn't have any fucking clue. Completely agree. Like if I was running a REIT or a hedge fund or BlackRock or any of these funds, instead of just going through and purchasing all these single family homes that are literally never going back on the market again,
which is disgusting. It's disgusting. Yep. It's disgusting.
Mm-hmm. But imagine, like, if I was running one of these companies, I would be like, okay, we're taking a right-hand turn. In the next 36 months, everything is in crypto. We're all transitioning the whole entire company into crypto because you can get the yields that you would get from single-family homes, like fucking in
a fraction of the time. A fraction of the time. I mean, so Sam, let me get your opinion on this. I don't think I've ever asked you. Now, I think you have a banking background, right? You've done a little PE or VC or whatever. What do you think is going to happen when these zombies figure out they've been asleep at the wheel for so long, and here's 20, 30% APY, stress-free? What do you think is going to happen? Because I've been trying to relay this to people, and, I can only speak in the manner that I know how to speak. Maybe you can help relay the sense of urgency that these people are going to feel once they discover this. I mean, it's going to be fucking bananas.
Bro, so like I agree. So when I look at I always think about the adoption, right? Because that's really what's going to drive our prices. Yep. And because I was following Tesla and EV industry and understanding what was going on there, EVs and smart cars, think of like a flip phone versus a smartphone. When I say a smart car, that is following an S adoption curve, right? So in 2 years ago, it was at 2% of global aggregate vehicle production. This is lightweight vehicles, so not like an F-350 or 450. This is like, or like big semi shit. This is like ones that we would drive. Kind of. Yeah. It was around 90 million vehicles, including China, that were produced. And 2% of that supply was EVs or green vehicles, like lumped into that. Right. Then the next year, it was 4%. Last year, it was like 8.3 or 8.13%. This coming year, 2022, we're going to be at 16%. The following year, right? This is going to be in 2023. By the end of 2023, we're going to be around 30%. Right? 30% that is going to be in EVs.
That's in line with log base 2, which is just a network effect.
And the same, so like the great point, the point of that though is that like the same thing is happening in crypto right now, and the legacy players just don't understand this. Yep. They don't like I'm going all in. I was about to buy more real estate, and I was like, I'm not going to buy more real. What? It doesn't make any effing sense. I can get 30, 40, 50% in crypto in no time. That's versus I have to hire a property manager. I got to do the actual work, all the shit related to it. All
dude,
that
if you're buying crypto for the first time too, like the weird part is it's like there's generally going to be a 20% pump like within any large macro movement, I feel like. So like if you really want to trade and you don't know about crypto like that, like you don't know about staking and all that shit, like to be honest, like if you know enough, like these 20% pumps are like that's like a whole year of legacy finance, and you can literally like it. And now that's playing with pennies and crypto, but at the same time, it's like what the fuck? Like where can you find these premiums? Even if you can't catch them, some people can't catch them, some people can. But where can you find the opportunity of something staying? It's crazy.
That's what exactly appeals to me around LP, right? Because I've seen you can get 6%, getting 10% in legacy, fucking super easy, right? No problem. But people in legacy are like, yeah, you get consistent 10%, and you're like, okay, cool, give me a blowjob, right? That's like a really awesome thing. But when you look at LP and you're like, wait a second, I can get 5 to 15% a month in LP. I was like, even if I want to get 26 million hacks, I can use LP to fund that at a faster rate than I would fund it from my earnings, my active earnings. Like the discrepancy, like earning 100+%. If I tell anybody of my friends at the bank or back in like legacy that you can earn 100+% annually versus 6% or nothing if you're in a CD or something else like that, they don't get it. And I was like, I saw the same thing happen when you see these gargantuan opportunities.
They stun people.
They do, and it closes them off, and then
it's like those opportunities. Shock. It's almost like a mental shock, right? Like they can't wrap that. Like I remember when I first learned about Bitcoin, I was like, why would you need virtual currency? But I didn't understand. And this was fucking 12 years ago. I didn't understand all the things then that I do now that I can explain with a sentence, right? Because you got to go over all those hurdles, bro. And look, I talk to people that work on Wall Street, that can't wrap their head around the fact that cash is not physical.
Yeah, that whole thing explosive. It's explosive to me because when I try to spend my cash, believe it or not, guys, if you're watching this, mom, dad, anyone, some places you go to spend your cash, they don't accept it.
They won't even take it. Yeah.
They won't even take it. They'll tell you that they will not. Kava, there's a Kava, which is a nice place. You can get a bowl and some food here. And you cannot pay cash, period. I forget every single fucking time. Every single fucking time. Because, it's like $10. So I always got $10 like lying around somewhere. And I'll usually just grab some cash. And then I'm always like, oh, wait, this is communist China. Because I cannot spend my actual fucking money. The only tangible fucking thing this whole country relies on. You cannot spend it. You can't exchange it. You can't do shit with it. You'll get fucking arrested for having it. Literally. If you have a big fat stack of cash at the airport, welcome to jail.
Yeah.
On that point, I've got a buddy who's moving to Germany tomorrow. And he's got some cash.
I'll be right back. Sorry.
Okay. He's got some cash here in the United States. So he did a wire transfer to a German bank, right? And they took $1,000, even though if you look at the right, Wales has mentioned this earlier, the USD relative to the euro or to the pound or to the Australian dollar, the Canadian dollar has gained over the last year in value. Basically, we're sitting at parity for the euro, which hasn't been there in 20 fucking years.
Yeah.
And they still took $1,000 in fees from him where the crypto sells this. And like GOC was mentioning, you can't bring all this cash to the airport. Yeah. Like he's like, yeah, I can only bring $10,000 to the airport. And I was like, okay, but you get your fucking, I don't have it here, but you get this and you can bring this through the airport and you can transfer $50 million and nobody can say dick at all. They're
not going to know. Right? I mean, they only know what you tell them.
Okay.
You can't hide 50 million, but you can hide less than 10,000, right? So for all that, just send it in crypto to yourself and be done with it.
What do you think is the next catalyst, right? So 2019, the end of 2019 into 2020, we saw like the the resurrection or like the rise of NFTs, which was awesome from a adoption standpoint, right? Because it brought in so many new people who didn't understand crypto. And then the bleed from NFTs into like actual crypto has been tremendously helpful at increasing users. Well, where do you see the next thing, or have you thought about that? What might be the next thing that opens up and drives this wave? Because when you look at adoption curves, a lot of times it's something that sparks it, and then it's a wave, then there's like a lull, and then another wave, right? Have you thought about that at all?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot actually lately. And the funny thing is that, you know, in 2017 you had these crypto kitties, which was this NFT stuff, but it wasn't called that back then. This time you had meme coins, right? And then you had NFTs. So that was the 1-2 setup this last time, because the market kind of ran from 2020, from like March 2020 all the way through November 2021. So that's 18 months, right? You had to build enough momentum to last for that long. So I have been thinking, like, what's the next catalyst that gives us a bottom, so to speak, right? Because there's always some narrative. It's never just, the market itself. Something is always underlying that change, and you can typically see it before it comes if you know how to find it. And it's typically in like headlines, maybe some random legislation, maybe some comments, some change that seems kind of auspicious but trivial, or whatever, but I haven't really seen anything like that yet. So that could mean one of two things. That could mean that we're either far away from being close to something that could be that catalyst, or we are the catalyst because we're too close, and pulse chain will be that bottom causing thing, because the market itself is hurting right now with everything that's happened. So I think the most positive thing that's come out of all these BitConnect 2.0 situations is that none of the NFT stuff kind of got caught up in it to an ugly degree. Of course, OpenSea always has issues, so that's not even new, because they had issues this time around. I can't remember exactly what happened, but I think they had a monetary issue, something debt specific. I can't remember. But they got kind of caught up in it too, but it wasn't debilitating to the point that they went kaput, right? So that's still a positive. But, I think the bigger issue is if all these so-called furus can get lost and people like us take over this next wave, right? We could very well be the catalyst, because then we're now providing the correct education to those that are seeking crypto information, because, the fact of the matter is that we operate at a deficit consistently because we don't have the support of the algos. We don't. We're not the ones that are going to get pushed to the front of the line. We're not the ones shilling ref links so for people to get wrecked, So because of that, we're struggling to reach the outside. So what that means is that we got to stick around longer than everybody else. So from that perspective, we could be the catalyst.
That's real quick, guys. Real quick. Let me split this up just so I can get RH Max in here. He's down below. He's going to come in and say, what's up? What's up? We're going to talk about macro real quick, guys. I'm going to drop the tweet right below. Retweet the tweet, like this post, share the stuff. Send me all your money. You already know the deal. All right, Max, RH Max in the building. Quick transition. It's afternoon, so I can play the. Damn it, I screwed it up. You can't play the morning one in the morning. RH Max, how are you doing? It's been about 2 months since we talked, a month and a half.
It's morning time, my time, so I don't know. I'm confused.
It's 12:05, so I can't play the morning. I can't play the morning song afternoon.
The three of us are all EST.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think it's 3 against 1. Yeah, okay, you win. Okay.
We're voting here, Mel, and we win.
I'll take it.
All right, Max, what do you think about what's going on right now? Let's get right into the meat and potatoes. what do you think about what's going on? Everything Wales and Sam have been talking about, all these inflation rates, all these numbers. You've seen a lot of this stuff. You've been around the block. What does this look like to you, just macro wise? Give us your little summary on everything and any points that you want to mention.
I think I literally just tweeted at what Dixon Piper said, everyone thinks it's going to be a bull run now because we'd have a couple green days. And I'm like, limp, survived, curb, dead cat, I don't know, bounce. It's not, I don't think we're at max paid. I'm sticking with that. I think we're going to get some green candles here and there, but I don't think we're there yet. And we need some more failure in the industry, for better or for worse. We need that to happen before I'm going to be like, whoa, okay, I think we've hit rock bottom. So I don't think we're there yet. I don't remember what Wells said about this this morning, but I don't know if we agree or not. But I don't think we're there.
I'd like to hear your.
Go ahead.
I'd like to hear your thoughts and Wales' thoughts on this. I think personally that inflation, I think that comes out in early August, the second week of August, where I think inflation numbers are going to be far better than expectations because of what we touched on, earlier in the show. USD has been gaining relative to the pound, the euro, Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, and even the Chinese yuan, right? So not tremendously against them, but it has gained against them in the past year. So what does that mean when you put that into the perspective that the U.S. is perpetually in a trade deficit? What the fuck does that mean when he's saying trade deficit? Well, you have like Wales is talking about production or like creating things, like making things. Well,
wait, so you're talking about we don't actually build the stuff, but we like invent it, so that counts?
Nah.
It depends. We do make some things. Well,
no, but we don't make most. I know we make more than some countries, but like not more than like the countries that make stuff for all their profit.
And then on a macro level, they look at trade deficit. So it's just basically what does the country make and ship to other fucking countries, and then what do we buy from other countries and ship in?
So it's countrywide. So it's like the transition. Like if there's two wallets, It's just like okay.
So when you look at the United States, you have what we fucking make and ship out, and then what we buy from these other companies and ship in. And if you look at history, the U.S. is always in a deficit, meaning we buy more shit from other countries than we ship out to other countries. Yeah. So when you put this into perspective, what does this mean, right? We just said that the GBP, like the pound, the dollar, the Canadian dollar, the Australian dollar, the euro have all been losing value relative to USD. So that means the shit that we buy from these other countries relative to how Wales is talking about how it's denominated, right? That means that the ratio from the dollar to the euro has changed. So now our dollar goes further in purchasing shit in the EU, right? Because we're going to be purchasing USD relative to something in euro, and the USD has gained in value, just like ETH has gained in value relative to BTC over the last 45 days. So to wrap all this up, we are traditionally in a deficit. We've been gaining value relative to a basket of currencies. I think that the inflation numbers are going to be far lower than expectations come August 10th, I think.
Really interesting.
What are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I actually agree because I'm already actually taking speculative positions that reflect that. And I haven't even taken any heat. Because the market understands exactly that. And I've been talking about this basically for like a month already. Because what does the Fed always do? Their job is to talk the market where they want it to be. It's not to actually buy and sell stuff. They're actually not supposed to be doing that at all. I mean, they are basically breaking the law by doing that. But that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day.
When did they start doing that? Like was there a catalyst in history? 2008. Yeah. 2008. Okay. Yeah, to fix that big. Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember if they might have done that in LTCM. They might have done it in a roundabout way for that point in time, but I don't remember specifics. Because I go deep, man. I go into the legal documents and everything. I really want to know, and that's where you're going to find the truth. Because all that stuff, it gets put on record. They don't hide any of that. You can clearly see in Fed minutes and in court meeting minutes and court notes, and court minutes, that, they let Lehman fail. You can see this. They let it. They okayed it. They were like, yeah, it's perfectly fine. Let them fail. They don't. They didn't want
And
to
they
play.
wrote it. And they wrote it in an organized way and published it.
Yeah.
Picking
nobody
winners and
reads.
losers.
That's right. So when you sit here and you take stock of all of these things, it leads you to believe that no matter what the narrative is or what the data shows, like I'm looking at all the FX pairs that I watch right now, and it looks like the dollar has basically topped out. That's what it looks like right now, right? It looks exactly like that right now. It looks like we're entering a recession at the moment because the yen crosses look like they're ready to puke, which typically means hold on to your panties because it's about to become crazy. That's typically what it means. Will we see that? I don't know. But it looks like early stages for just that. Now, what am I basing this on? Just what the markets typically do when we enter recession. I don't have anything else to go off of. Just that. So, if we do happen to enter a recession, I mean, I personally think we've been in one since Q4 of 2021. This time around, in terms of economic deterioration and stuff like that, just because of capital flows, right? This is what you're seeing in the market. It doesn't mean that that's what you're seeing economically. As Sam alluded to earlier, you're seeing small businesses growing. That facet of the economy is growing because it has to. People are finding
Yeah, it has to
themselves in a
push
position-
somewhere.
Yeah. People are finding themselves in a position to have to act. Now, we were talking about catalysts earlier. It could be that all the things that are happening with inflation are going to force society to pick crypto. It could very well be the case that because everybody knows Bitcoin and all this and all that, people just pick that and say, screw this dollar thing. I mean, it's that simple, and I think it's very difficult for us to accept that it's that simple. But if 2/3 or more than 50% say, yo, we're no longer taking dollars, we're taking Bitcoins only or Ethereum only or whatever coin only, well, shit, that's it. It just changed. So that's how it works.
That's what, like, any intellectual conversation you have in crypto, where does it end up? It always ends up in the same place. I hope they don't switch the fucking laws. Like that's what it's like. You can narrow
Laws
it down
are irrelevant.
I
That's the
know,
thing.
but you can narrow it down to anything. But eventually, like we've seen, they will come knocking on your door.
They will try.
Eventually, if they don't do something to get the value they want.
Well, this is why I think paying attention to what happens in the legacy side of the market is so critical. And that's why I point out all these things like, how many people actually know that BlackRock is an asset manager for USDC? And that's the most important crypto information out there.
Good point.
And that's not even crypto. So, this is how these attacks happen, and it's for that lack of knowledge that they do occur. Because if everybody understood that stables is not crypto, we shouldn't even be participating in that aspect of the market whatsoever. You wouldn't need them if you had actual cryptos elsewhere. But since you got this mosaic that paints this specific picture, you can't take just one corner of that mosaic and be like, look, this is what the truth is, because people can't see it. And that's the big problem. This is why having the standing power could become a major catalyst for the next iteration of crypto, because the last few have been complete crap because A, the first two didn't even have a social media presence, and then B, these previous two have been a complete wreck because of social media presence. So, if we as a cohort of streamers, Hexagons and Pulse people, continuously do the right thing, which is provide the correct information, then the market will by itself change by default. It won't have an option because people won't be engaging with trash. People won't be engaging with securities, because what happens is once people learn, they'll act in accordance with their best interest, which is not getting wrecked.
Is it a coincidence that Pulse people, it also abbreviates as PP? Is that a coincidence?
Yeah, well, No, I think that was natural.
It's basically just
Only
like
makes
number in,
sense.
number out. It's just like value in, value out. Where's the value pushing point right now? If
Right.
the value is available, which we are making it available, it is now available. If you type in crypto every day at 11, something will pop up. I trust me that. So, there is a social media presence now, which is a catalyst, good or bad, for whatever product it is. And it's interesting. This whole thing is really interesting just to watch, the value prop. And just like you're saying it, you're like, the way that you say it is cool, because it's just like number in, number out. Like, people leave work, they go work somewhere else. Where do they go work?
Yeah.
They figure out themselves, I guess, because they're not making money anymore. So they push. It's just number in, number out. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. Like, it just
Correct.
moves.
It just morphs.
Well, do you think what's going to happen first? People are going to learn what the better assets are, or do you think it's going to be like Facebook's going to bring back Libra, and it's going to be like everything's just going to be stable coin based, where it's just $1 digitally and like that kind of thing?
I think it depends on what narrative they try to push, and they've been trying to push the stable coin as a problem narrative, right? And the reason they've been pushing that is because they want to interject their stable coin, right? That's what that's about, right? So
it seems counter to their narrative of like everyone be digital cash.
Correct.
It seems counter, but is it because you think they're going to introduce a new stable? Oh no, all these stable coins suck. Here's a good one. Is there going to be something going to be announced?
Don't use your bank. Use Celsius.
I think if you just take a look at the fact that they can kind of take anything and replicate it and make it anything else.
True.
Right? Because if you look at USDC, it's just a plain old ERC20, nothing fancy. It just has certain belief systems underlying it, along with all these other narratives surrounding it. That's really all USDC is. And people don't realize that has admin keys. They could shut that off anytime.
That'll become and I believe, because the U.S. is so slow bureaucratically, that on the one hand, BlackRock is kind of like a quasi-government agency right now, just because of the size of it, right? And
trillions of dollars that they manage, right? Like
multi.
So when you say quasi-government, does that just mean like the government can kind of control it because the mass is there? Within
They're kind of like this. They're kind of like this with the government. Like they're kind of like rubbing each other's back, right? Because the people in there are donating to get the laws in place to help their own bag, and they own.
It's the donation thing. It's the politics.
There's a lot of shit involved that goes back and forth, but USDC Circle, right? And if what Wales is saying, right, like is true, that BlackRock is managing all of or a lot of the collateral for Circle.
They are the asset manager. They are legit the asset manager for Circle, like verbatim.
Then this is going to be where do the people in BlackRock come from? The Fed. A lot. There's several people there from the Fed. So this is already going to be quasi the Fed to in crypto. It's the USDC, right? It's USDC because it's been more audited. There's a bunch of negative stuff around Tether. USDC probably in the next 3 to 12 months is going to surpass Tether, I would think, just because there's been auditing. They're really trying to make the perception, or narrative is the word we've been using to describe USDC as superior to Tether. And then once you can control that, you can control a lot of things, right? And shutting people off or doing all sorts of stuff. Wales,
we stop it, Sam.
Like what Wales is saying, educate people.
Yeah. The partnership with the government too. Can you imagine what a better stable coin is going to have a relationship with the government, with tracking all the stuff in the future than USDC? It's like the prime candidate. So if you trust USDC, you're trusting the government in the future, I think, in a lot of ways.
They're going to be funding Biden's blood bags with his from the little kids that he's siphoning.
But this is also
this motherfucker is such a fucking. And it's not him. When we talk about him, we just talk about the people that want him there, because he is he is existing at this point. Trust me, he doesn't know what fucking day it is. Trust me. Have you ever heard that guy speak? Have you? I know homeless dudes that speak brilliantly.
I don't think Blood's gonna help him, man. He's
like,
way past Blood. He's way past Blood.
I have to run. I have an appointment at 12:45 that I need to drive to. Otherwise, I'd love to continue this
you don't
conversation.
drive in the Tesla. You just thrive.
Correct. it's gonna be. I'll have a car drive me there, but I do have to run. This has been awesome. I'd like to do this again. I really enjoyed the conversation. RH Max,
it's a perfect time to split it up. RH Max, I know I just slid you in. I just threw it up there because I wanted to have you on and say hi. I'm actually going to off as well. I hope you guys are all doing great. It's been a while, like we haven't.
So me and Wells are just going to run the rest of the show, right?
I got to run right now, though. Peace out, guys.
Hey, have a great day, Sam. Great to see you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Great seeing you guys as well. Great chat.
See you, Sam.
You guys have anything you want to talk about? Any streams later? Any cool stuff you guys are fucking with or like looking at?
I mean, I'm doing a Spanish stream later. That's about it.
Hey,
Spanish Friday. That's right.
Tune into that though. Don't be playing if you speak Spanish. Like you just got lucky as hell because you trust me because it's just there's less people, there's less bodies. I'm sure over there.
Yeah, way less bodies.
And I mean, the macro talk that you guys do is high level, so it's like, gosh, these resources, just like you're saying, because I found it. So like I found your guys' stuff. Not everyone's that was doing good work at the time, and I binged it right. Because it was available, and so I love how we kind of worked through and talked about all that as we went. It was cool.
I like the full circle too, because when you first came across my stuff, Jim Rat, you played the video of me and Wells, that the Godwell 7777 East one, and it's funny that we're a few months later we're on here together.
Boom, everything.
So guys, right after this though, I'm actually on vacation, like whatever that means.
Nice.
What? I'm sitting in a different seat. But I'm
cabin in the woods.
But it's Friday, so it's still a work day for me. I'm stuck I've always been stuck in the work. I haven't like unwork grinded myself yet. Like the schedule's still there. I can just do whatever I want. So, but what I'm gonna do today to mix it up for myself is I'm gonna jump off here and I'm going to do a live reaction in about 15 minutes. Doing on that 30-minute RH stream. I'm just going to do the reaction and get off because I kind of listened to it a little bit yesterday and I really liked it. But I know that was a side.
It's a great one.
Yeah,
it's a great one. I tweeted one of the quotes of about where he talked about the bottom of the bear and how eventually they're going to start printing money again, and when they do, risk on assets are going to go up and crypto is going to shoot way up. He said that at like the 9-minute mark or so.
We're all
already on their lows. Yields are already making new lows. So
it's going to be so disgusting how rich we all get. And I don't even say that from like, I care about being rich because I just care about being comfortable, to be honest. Like I think all three of us up here just want to have freedom in our lives. I'm pretty sure like that's kind of the goal. But at the end of the day, if you just know if you just know the chart well enough, and I'm not saying the daily chart, I'm just saying, look at the fucking chart, zoom it out a little bit, press log button and wake the fuck up. Wake the fuck up. Seriously. I'm so sick of it. And I'll pull it up right now just for the people that may be new here and maybe don't know what the fuck we're talking about. This is it. This is all you need to do. This is all, like, you don't need to do anything else. You got to go to.
This is a pin from the last bear market. And you can barely see it. But it basically says institutional is coming. And it's got them.
and they're here.
Yeah. And this is from the last bear market, so it goes back up. Look at the chart; it goes back up, folks. So that was my point.
It sure does.
Now I have to pull it up, and since I'm horrible at streaming, it's going to take at least 17 more seconds. So give me.
We're counting. Don't worry.
Yeah.
And GRC is financially free. We're going to do crypto in the evening with a $600 caviar, right? That's going to be the sign.
I'm going to have 10 people. I'm just going to be floating in the air and having people clip me, and I'm just going to be
in the air.
I won't even need a seat at that point. I'll just be like the streamer, like, because I just tell people like. I'm like one of the only guys who's like just a self-admitted like streamer. Like I'm I don't have kids, so I can kind of just say it. Like I can do whatever the fuck I want. But like, because when you have kids, it just switches up on that day.
You cannot. Yeah.
Here, let me pull up the chart for all you guys that think that we're just not that smart, that you really just think like you got it going on, but you just really don't understand how to stare at a second grade chart. You press log here and then you zoom out, okay? And then you stare at it. Oh, fuck, I didn't even pull
You know
it
what
up.
the hardest thing for me was? The hardest thing for me was to have confidence in my understanding of how to trade the long-term perspective. That was the hardest thing for me to overcome because I know me personally, I'm much better longer term trading. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is common for any person because I'm not unique or special, but
Mm.
it's easier to see overall where something is going. You can recognize a pattern as a human much easier in a longer time frame than on a shorter time frame because there's less conflicting information at a larger time frame than there
Great
is at a
point.
smaller time frame.
And that's how they get everyone. They get everyone
Yeah.
because if you don't actually learn, you're just wrecked by the knowledge presented.
Yeah, because you're gonna presume that 5 minute point of view is the same as that 1 day point of view, and it's just not. It's just a whole different kind of weighting altogether. It's like think about it like this: if you like making money and you don't know how to trade that 5 minute point of view, then you're not doing yourself any justice by continuing to do that because you're just going to continue to lose money because you're not looking at the bigger picture. You're just looking at a small portion of the picture, right? It's like when we were talking about the mosaic earlier. You're only looking at one portion of it if you're not looking at the daily picture. And that's the hardest thing for people that come into this game to learn a day trade. You know, how do you, I mean, look at all those up and down candles. It's not a straight line up and down.
Yeah, if
It's
you're
up,
staring
down,
at a
up,
chart
up.
every day, I feel like in order to make a move, just by definition, you're gonna get lost in the sauce. Like you can't, because nobody's smarter than a 5 minute candle. Like you're not smarter than a 1 minute candle. Like
It's
there's
almost
just a bunch of
impossible.
dudes clicking buttons and you're just guessing because of trends. But at the end of the day, one of these dudes could get cancer and be like, "Yep, today's my day. I got to get all my money out. Just fuck these bills." Bang. And then you're just like, "Oh wait, but there was a doji candle on the daily yesterday." Blah 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 blah. It's retarded.
That's a very
The
specific
hardest
example.
thing to do, yeah, the hardest thing to do as a so-called day trader is to stop trading.
Get unaddicted.
Yeah,
It's
because you think
addicting. Let's be real.
the more clicks, the more opportunities. But in fact, it's the complete opposite. You have
Be
to be
addicted
very
to healthy
selective.
stuff.
Yeah, you gotta be very selective about the trades that you take as a day trader because if everything doesn't line up, you know, it's not gonna work out in your favor and it's not gonna work out very quickly. But you're gonna expect it to. You know,
I'd rather be addicted to working out than a day trade.
Yeah.
Well, it's like mental masturbation in a way. Like, yes, of course, there's guys that know what the fuck they're doing. If you obviously like, there's a few,
Yeah,
but
but
in
they
every
have
field,
a
there's just a few.
specific skill
Cone
set.
fucking
you know?
days, man.
They got a specific skill set that
Yeah.
can't be taught. You know what I mean? Because if
It's
that
like
was
a social, like market / social, like those people are street smart. It's weird. Like you get into the financial industry and you start to see street smart people in suits.
yeah, they just get in and out. You know, they just know what they want. So how do I do it? Like for example, right, real basic. I just think to myself, okay, I know what my objective is because the hardest thing is for you to be objective about the time frame. That's the hardest thing because you want to make that money, but you conflate your P&L opportunities and your risk with what you just did. You know, that's the hardest thing to get like out of your skull as a person because you just made that trade. You want it to be 100 bagger, you know, and it's just a day trade. Like it's not going to be 100 bagger. You got to be okay with these 10 points and keep it moving. That's the hardest thing to do as a day trader. Just
it's
have a plan,
emotional
stick
fitness.
to it, and yeah, exactly.
It's the hardest
like
part
working out.
about every job and working out and every once you get down to the meat and potatoes, anyone can learn anything if you write it down and just read it and just know it. But knowing something and having emotional fitness is totally different. So what's the difference between a cop running into a place where someone's getting shot up or a cop that's done it 40 times? That cop that's done it 40 times is kicking that motherfucker in the chest and taking people out, and he does not care if he gets shot up because he's been there, done that. Old fucking news. The guy on the first day, and that's just how life is. Like you can't be ready for war just because you're alive. Like, right? Like, so I think it's just the same. Preparation is key. It's preparation. Every day is preparation. You just have to make it that way. Whatever you're looking at online, study it. If it's a fucking stupid video game, at least be intentful towards it. And don't just be a lazy fuck. Just like read shit and be attentive, very attentive.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the hardest part because everybody wants to be knowledgeable, but they want the cliff notes. They don't understand that that's not being knowledgeable.
They think it's high school test. No, it ain't.
Yeah, like you've been lied to your whole life. That is not how you learn stuff.
Yeah, and then you cheat on those tests and you're like, man, I'm smart because I cheated my way through the system. And you just realize that you actually put real value in that system. Like throughout that, like by cheating, you actually inherently thought that was a valuable system that you were winning when the whole time they were just making you lick their nuts.
Yep. And you thought that I remember, thinking like, I'm really just supposed to go through school, get a job, and that's it. Like I remember thinking that.
And teach your kids the same thing. And
then you get married on that one day.
I wasn't even thinking that far ahead, bro. I wasn't even thinking that far ahead. It just didn't make sense to me that's what I was supposed to do.
It was odd. Yeah, it felt odd. I was like, oh, I got to listen to all these people, but I don't think they're smart.
They were not.
So I was just bothered. Like I was always in a state of bothering because I was the type of guy that would tell people that I thought that they were stupid. Mm-hmm. And I didn't do it all the time, but when I did it, it hurt. Like, because it hurt. When I say mean things to people, it hurts because it's usually true, but it's usually kind of mean. And I'm just telling you, like throughout my experience working, the value prop for happiness never occurred. And I just didn't like that. I was just like, okay, I can be successful. I can make money, certainly, but this can't scale. And it's not like everyone's thing. Like I'm 28. I don't have kids. So like, why would I bother? If you have one kid, you bother a little more. You got 2 kids, you fucked. I'm just kidding. I'm fucking with you. I don't know what it's like to have kids. I have no idea what it's like to have children. Anyway, I'm going to get off here before I say something absolutely stupid. Thank you so much, guys. This has been incredible. I've enjoyed it so much. Amazing talk, and I learned a lot.
Always a good time, bro.
Always good to be on. Appreciate it.
Hey, guys, have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. We're going to do with bought my Hex from the start. Guys, if you're not buying Hex or in the position to buy Hex, you're an absolute moron.
Young folks, you tripping on them motherfucker.
Richard Heart. Richard Heart.
Bought my Hex from the fucking start. .1 every day we mark. Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Heart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hairy start. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Heart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hairy start. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Checking my MetaMask moving. Look at the Hex, he is mooning. Looking at wives they be choosing. Peter is why they be losing. Pro chains out, gonna get me a check. He's gas up and it got me a mess. Remember the times he died collect. Hex had me eating, I'm dying in the best. Getting this back like a year ago. Getting this post, I ain't letting go. Swerving the ring like a Lambo. Getting this back like a year ago. Getting this post, I ain't letting go. Swerving the ring like a Lambo. Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Heart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hairy start. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Heart. Got paid on big